Chapter 471. Olivia gazed at Ethan in despair. Ethan, these two babies are the only people I have. I have nothing. I have no one else. If you don't believe my words today, you can wait until the labor. No, we can take a DNA test when I'm at least 16 weeks pregnant. You're getting more and more mischievous, Liv. You never lied to me in the past. Let's not discuss if you're willing to abort the babies or not. Once the babies mature, an abortion will have dire effects on your body. I consulted with the doctor. Taking an abortion now will have the minimum impact on your body. He gently comforted her. How could you say that you have nothing and no one else? Dad's showing improvement each day. It'll take 2 years at most before he becomes as healthy as before. He will be able to handle the Fordham family again. If Marina is making you insecure, I can tell you that she's purely an obligation of mine. You're the person I love all along. He caressed her cheek. You're still young. You can have babies again, but they have to be mine. Liv, I can give you anything you want. Just abort them. Olivia shook her head profusely. Ethan Miller, they're your babies. You're their father. I have never betrayed you. Never. Ethan's expression changed at the mention of betrayal. He shoved her away. Liv, I trusted you so much. That was why I allowed you to get along with Avery. Do you think that I'm unbothered by what you've done? He balled his fists, revealing the veins along his arms. Like a mad beast, he bellowed, how could I not bear resentment? It's eating me up from the inside. Do you know how I lived through the past month? I was in agony for every minute and second. I could only look at you from afar. I was afraid of hurting you, Liv. I simply hope that I can kill Avery at this instant. Olivia, who fell onto the floor due to the push, tried her best to explain. Ethan, how could you see me that way? There's nothing improper going on between Avery and me. I had a favor to ask from him. Enough. He interrupted her. I'm not interested in listening to you and his matters. This is where my patience runs out, Liv. Want it or not, I will never let you keep the babies. Calvin showed up with a group of bodyguards, and Olivia quickly stood up and ran away. However, Calvin was quicker than her. He managed to block her way out. He wore an apologetic expression. Please don't put me in a difficult spot, Mrs. Miller. This way, Mrs. Miller. Everyone blocked her way out, but no one dared to come close to her because they didn't want to hurt her. Ethan strode toward her. She retreated backward, only to be blocked by the bodyguards. She pleaded with him, Ethan, are you sure you won't regret not keeping these babies? It's only 3 months. That is all you have to wait to know the truth. Liv, I've had enough of these agonizing days. Sorry. Hate me however you want. He carried and ignored the crying Olivia. She yelled in tears, you're a self-serving person, Ethan Miller. You don't love me at all. You keep hurting me in the name of love. You only love yourself. It pained him to hear that. How could he not feel the pain? But how would Olivia relate to his agony? The sheer thought of her being pregnant with someone else's babies made him want to end the world. The murderous intent kept piling up in him. He hurt himself and the people around him. He was afraid that he might lose control of his emotions one day and hurt her. Liv, the babies have to die today no matter what. Chapter 472. Olivia was lifted to the operating table. Standing next to her was Ethan. It pained him to watch her in despair. Don't cry, Liv. As I said, we can have babies in the future. You can have as many babies as you wish. Our children and I will always be by your side. I don't have a future, Ethan. These 2 babies are my only hope. She was holding on to the last ray of hope. Just wait a little longer, Ethan. 3 months is the longest it'll take you to realize that I'm not lying. I won't change my mind, Liv. Be good. The surgery will be over soon. Ethan chose to leave because he was afraid he would yield in if he stayed any longer. Noticing that he was going to leave, she hurriedly begged, Ethan, don't go. You have to trust me. Why won't you believe my words? Ethan Miller, they are your babies. How could you look down upon someone's precious life? You will regret this, Ethan Miller. You will surely regret this. The door was slammed shut, taking away all of her hope. Things shouldn't turn out this way. They were Olivia's babies. A few nurses and a doctor surrounded her. The doctor was wearing a mask, looking at Olivia with hatred. Gigi Murray's family was ruined because of a homewrecker, hence her hatred for immoral women. Stop wasting your energy. This is what Mr. Miller wants. Her voice was emotionless because she saw Olivia as a filthy woman. Olivia was crying so much that her voice turned hoarse. Doctor, please, I'm begging you. They are Ethan's babies. She could imagine the mocking smile beneath Gigi's mask even though the latter didn't pull it down. Miss, how would Mr. Miller not know if he had touched you? Stop holding on to false hopes. Mr. Miller is magnanimous enough to do this. If I were him, I wouldn't have been this kind. Gigi then ordered a nurse, remove her pants. Check her vaginal discharge to see if there's an infection or not first. Stretching her legs, Olivia tried to stop them, but she was outnumbered. Not to mention that she only had one hand to fight against them, too. The nurses fettered her with fast moves. Stop moving, Miss Fordham. Mr. Miller will blame us if you're hurt. I didn't agree to this surgery. This is murder. I will sue all of you. He has signed the agreement, Miss Fordham. Stop this useless protest. There are no surveillance cameras around here. Even if you wanna sue us, you don't have evidence. Besides, this is done under Mr. Miller's willingness. If you wanna blame anyone, blame him. Blame him. Gigi raised an eyebrow disdainfully. I think she should blame herself for not being able to keep her legs tightly shut. Had she not slept with another man, she wouldn't have been brought here. I heard that you're immune to anesthesia. You'll have to put up with the pain later during the surgery. The others were aware that Gigi despised homewrecker the most. Still, Olivia was not any ordinary person because she was brought over by Ethan. Thus, the head nurse reminded her in a low voice, keep in mind that she's Mr. Miller's woman, Murray. Gigi was unbothered as she snorted. How deep could he possibly be in love with her? She's just a homewrecker who betrayed her benefactor. I'm afraid she'll be dumped right after the abortion. Look at how fragile she is. I bet a lot of men have screwed her. Dr. Murray. The head nurse kept giving hints to Gigi. Dr. Gigi forcefully pulled Olivia's pants down. It was getting more and more obvious that Gigi was trying to humiliate Olivia. What is there to hide from us when you've taken your pants in front of men a lot of times? Gigi even slapped Olivia's leg. Part your legs wider. You're already pregnant, so stop pretending to be innocent. I hate vixens like you the most. What a bitch. Did your mother not teach you not to simply hook up with men out there? Chapter 473. Olivia was flooded with anxiety and fear. Now that Gigi spouted those remarks, it infuriated Olivia more. Is this how your mother raised you? Is your profession's integrity your weapon to attack others? Do you know me? Do you even know the whole story? Who are you to humiliate me? Gigi crossed her arms, furious. Humiliate. Well, I can't say anything about it if you see this as a humiliation. Everyone knows that Mr. Miller is going to get married soon. Yet, he brought you here for an abortion. What else are you if you're not a homewrecker? She sized Olivia up. I wonder how parents raise their kids nowadays. They're all raised wrong. Why do they keep eyeing someone else's husband instead of spending their time studying? You had this coming. You deserve not to be pregnant. Look at how filthy you are. You're destined to be barren and grow old alone. Olivia broke free and slapped Gigi right in the face. Fuck. How dare you slap me, you bitch. You guys had one job, but what are you guys doing? Hold her down. The others weren't as lunatic as Gigi was. Even if Olivia was a homewrecker, she was acquainted with Ethan. She wasn't someone to be messed with. Still, Gigi couldn't care less about that. With an evil expression, she grabbed Olivia's arm. How dare a disabled person like you fight back at me? You've got the nerves, huh? She then slapped Olivia's cheek, not knowing that it was exactly what Olivia was asking for. Before this, she realized that Gigi was suffering from mental illness. It was obvious that Gigi grew hatred for young ladies because her husband dumped her. In order to stop the abortion, Olivia had to cause a racket. Gigi didn't pull back her strength. Olivia's cheek was swollen in seconds. Instead of exposing her identity, Olivia provoked Gigi. I'm disabled, but I'm better than you are. Your husband must have found someone young and pretty. That was why he divorced you, wasn't it? If I were him, I would dump someone old like you, too. Olivia's remarks hit home, and Gigi's expression turned as fierce as a devil's. What did you say, bitch? Who's dumped by her husband? You. I bet you're jealous of my youth and beauty. That's why you keep making hurtful comments. No matter how hurtful your words are, it won't change the fact that you were dumped. I'll still be younger than you are and pampered by a man. Someone old like you deserves to be single forever. I'm gonna tear your mouth off, you bitch. Gigi, what are you doing? Stop. Gigi, calm down. You shouldn't do this. Every staff member in the hospital was aware of Gigi's sore spot. They usually wouldn't bring up the word husband, either. Yet, Olivia was playing with fire. The two of them were getting physical, but Olivia was actually the only person receiving hits. She could only protect her belly with her only hand, so she couldn't fight back. She kicked a trolley over. The machine and medical instruments fell onto the ground, causing a jarring, crashing sound. Help! Help! She seized the chance to shout for help. Kelvin, who had been guarding outside, pushed the door open only to see Olivia getting abused. He yelled in anger, "What are you doing?" Mona quickly took her coat off to cover Olivia's thighs. Miss Fordham, are you all right? Mona swiped Olivia's hair to the side to reveal the swollen cheek. There were scratches, too. Angry, Mona rolled her sleeves up. I guess you're underestimating me. Why did you hit a pregnant woman? You could have come at me if you needed a sparring partner. I swear I'm gonna break all your teeth today. Chapter 474. Kelvin was stunned, not expecting it to turn out this way when they were supposed to perform a preoperative examination. Why did you hit her? The nurses were scared out of their wits. Things were supposed to be handled carefully between doctors and patients. Yet, Gigi simply confronted the patient physically head-on. Even if Olivia was Ethan's mistress, Ethan was one of the Millers. Gigi had yet to realize the solemnity of the matter. She thought that no man could accept his partner cheating on him. Hence, Gigi was certain that Ethan hated Olivia to the bones and was going to praise her. What? I was teaching her a lesson in her mother's stead. She doesn't love herself despite her young age. Who knows what humiliating deeds she's going to do in the future. Tell Mr. Miller to rest assured. I will teach her properly. Kelvin was getting jumpy upon hearing that. What did you say? I said, a slut like her. He was on the edge before she could finish. What's the matter with you? We told you to perform the surgery on Mrs. Miller, so just do as we say. And what are you up to right now? Who are you to humiliate Mrs. Miller? How dare you hit her? I'm telling you, you're not getting away with this easily. Mrs. Miller, what do you mean by, Mrs. Miller? Gigi's voice changed. An angry Kelvin couldn't care less about his voice volume as he said, what do I mean by that? Is there anyone else here? But isn't Mr. Miller going to get married to Miss Carlton? She questioned carefully. Olivia, who had been silent all along, sobbed, I am Ethan's ex-wife. Gigi's mind went blank as if lightning had struck her. She thought, she's not a mistress or a homewrecker, but his ex-wife. Just what did I say to her? Mona barked, she's the person Mr. Miller treats with care. He didn't dare to raise his voice at her, either. But you, how could you slap and humiliate her? You're dead meat. She wished she could charge toward Gigi and tear her apart. But Olivia's condition concerned her more. Are you all right? Are you feeling unwell somewhere? Asked Mona. It hurts. Olivia pursed her lips. Ethan rushed over as soon as he received news about it. He heard her saying that it hurt before he entered the room. Had it been before, it would always break his heart whenever she said that. He entered the room only to see her covering her face. Her forlorn state made his heart squeeze. What's going on? Mona quickly kept him in the loop. Mr. Miller, you came just at the right time. This woman not only called Mrs. Miller a slut, but she also hit her. Look at her face. Olivia's skin was as fair as snow, and Gigi didn't hold herself back at all. They were in the operating room for a short period, yet Olivia's cheek was already swollen. Her hair was a mess, and she was abused at that. Olivia was smart enough to know what to do now. She slowly lifted her head, gazing at Ethan with teary eyes. She appeared all pitiful. Tears fell down her cheeks before she could speak. Liv, Ethan approached her with hurried steps. He wanted to touch her, but she avoided him. Her eyes were fixated on him firmly. Even if you hate me, you don't need to get someone to humiliate me. Humiliate? Why would I? I didn't. Live. Chapter 475. Fury and guilt built up in Ethan as he looked at the hurt Olivia. She was crying buckets. How could they proceed with the preoperative examination like this? Gigi had hurt Olivia even before performing the abortion. So, how could he entrust Olivia to her? Mr. Miller, this is a misunderstanding. I thought Gigi stuttered as she attempted to explain her stance. Olivia made herself appear as pitiful as possible to push Gigi into big trouble. No, you're acting differently from a moment ago. Mr. Miller, she slapped me first. She's the problematic one. Olivia sobbed. Don't you know why I slapped you? This is our first time meeting each other, and yet you called me a slut and said that a lot of men have screwed me. You claim that I'm pregnant because my mother raised me wrong. How am I the problematic one? Ethan's expression was turning gloomier. Every word Gigi spouted touched his bottom line. Who gave you the right to judge my wife? Who? He would have become enraged if he weren't hugging Olivia. Mr. Miller, this is a misunderstanding. It really is. Gigi looked at Chris and Calvin and sought help from them. Dr. Atkins, you know me. Calvin was an approachable man on his regular days. Although this hospital belonged to his family, he didn't act up only because he was the successor. He got along with all the medical staff well. However, he was wearing an expressionless face right now. Ignoring Gigi, he looked at Ethan apologetically. Mr. Miller, I'm sorry that this kind of matter is happening in my hospital. I will make sure to give you an explanation for all this. You better do. Ethan looked at Calvin coldly. Ethan carried Olivia, who was a mess, away. A voice resounded behind him. Dr. Atkins, I swear I didn't hurt her. She slapped me first. You don't have to explain yourself in a rush, Gigi. I will never wrong someone innocent. Of course, I will not side with anyone. Come to my office, all of you. I will personally look into this matter. Ethan could feel the woman in his arms shaking. He wondered if it was due to fear or anger. Don't be afraid, Liv. It's over. I will not let her off the hook that easily. No one can hurt you. She looked at him with teary eyes. But you're the one who brought me here. You doubted my innocence. That was why others saw me as a slut. Ethan Miller, am I someone who gets involved in casual flings to you? He fell silent because he believed that she wasn't that kind of person more than anyone else. It is a fact that you're pregnant. Olivia finally had the chance to discuss with Ethan, thanks to Gigi. She was frustrated. You had a high fever when I visited you in the Miller residence. I just wanted to check on you. But you threw me onto the bed. I couldn't break free from you. It was my safe period, and I don't get pregnant easily. So, I didn't take any contraceptive pills. I didn't expect myself to be pregnant. Ethan went quiet, trying to process what she was saying. Olivia then whispered something in his ear. It was the exact same detail that matched with what happened that day. His gaze landed on her belly. Liv, are they really my babies? Chapter 476. Olivia's eyes were devoid of happiness as she looked at Ethan. I don't wanna admit it, but they are your babies. His expression lit up almost instantly. He was happy yet surprised. She added coldly, and you almost killed them. I will never allow someone like you to become their father. Sorry, Liv. These days, the only words that come out of Ethan's mouth were apologies. Not everything can be redeemed with an apology. Ethan, look at my face. This slap isn't from her but from you. Olivia reclined in the chair, exhausted. There had been too much for her body to take in since she was pregnant. She had used up a lot of energy while trying to break free from the nurse's grasp. So, she was all in. It seemed like Ethan believed her, so she didn't want to explain anything to him further. He parted his lips but didn't say anything. Looking at her tired face, he hugged her and sighed. Liv, I know that you hate me. But I can never bring myself to let you go no matter what happens. Olivia didn't give him a response. Only a bead of tears trickled from the corner of her eye. She stayed still for a long time before asking softly, Are you really not going to let me go? Ed his arms around her. Nay, go if I'm dead. La instantly raised her chin, looking into her hollow eyes that made him anxious, but he shook that feeling off. Dad will slowly recover, and you have babies. You will wish to live on more than anyone else, live. Why would you be dead? She let out a soft sigh. You're right, I wanna live on more than anyone else. She wished to live, but it wasn't something she could choose. Although Olivia was still doing fine for 6 months, there were a lot of risks to take into consideration. There were chances for her condition to deteriorate at any time. Once she was in the late stage of cancer, not even the best doctor in the world could save her. Ethan hugged her tightly. She was in his arms while pregnant with his babies. But why did he feel like he was going to lose her for real? Like a porcelain doll, Olivia was awfully quiet on their way back home. She let him hug her and apply medicine to her face. She didn't avoid him at all. Her swollen cheek kept reminding her that he was going to do something bad to her. When they arrived home, she lay in bed while facing her back at him. She was basically driving him out of the room. Ethan stood beside the bed in silence for a moment before saying, Liv, I'll request door-to-door appointments with the doctor for your prenatal examinations. You don't have to go to the hospital. She ignored him, and he added, I'm not trying to control you. You know my identity. I didn't introduce you to the public when we first got married because I'm afraid that you'll be their first target. I've found out who pushed Connor down the stairs. Her body slightly shuddered at that. He continued, he's a professional assassin in the world and was one of the Black Ravens members. Considering that an international fugitive like him suddenly hurt a kid, I'm afraid that the opponent is my past enemy. Of course, this is just speculation. No matter what they're after, it is obvious that I'm their target. I don't want you to be one of their targets. So, I'll try to avoid you as much as possible. But you have to work with me by taking care of yourself. You can think of it as you're doing this for the baby's sake. I will risk my life to protect the babies. Olivia's muffled voice resounded from the blanket. And I will risk my life to protect all of you, he promised solemnly. Chapter 477. Ethan left, and Olivia was depressed. Mona noticed that the faint glint of light in Olivia's eyes vanished. Olivia sat by the window silently. The swell on her cheek finally subsided. Her face was pale, and her eyes were glazed over as she looked at the rain outside. Olivia, you must be hungry. The maids have made something. Didn't you say you want some noodles? Why don't you give it a try to see if it's the taste you were craving for? Leave it. I'm not hungry. Even so, you gotta have some. Do it for the babies, at least. The babies were the only leverage they could use over Olivia's head. Mona saw that Olivia's fingers moved and hurriedly passed the cutleries to her. Eat it before it gets cold. I tasted it for you without them knowing. It tastes good. Mona stuck her tongue out. Sorry. Mr. Miller informed us that your meals should be tested before they're served to you. Mona initially wanted to compliment Ethan, but the thought of what had just happened made her swallow her praises. She wanted to ask about it several times, but she kept quiet because she thought that she wasn't in a position to question it. There was only the faint sound of Olivia chewing the noodles in the room. It could be scarcely heard. It was accompanied by crunching sounds at times when she was eating vegetables. Olivia was having her meal silently, yet Mona felt her chest squeeze tight seeing that. It was as if Olivia was living for her babies and Jeff, not for herself. She felt nauseous a few times during the meal, but she suppressed it and continued eating. She kept shoving food into her mouth like a lifeless robot. Stop eating. Mona took the cutleries away from Olivia. I'll ask them to make something else. It's not like the Miller Group is going bankrupt. You can eat whatever you want. Olivia faintly smiled. It doesn't matter what it is as long as I can fill my stomach. Don't be like this, Olivia. It hurts me to see you acting this way. Why don't we be happy as we were before? Happy. Olivia let out a bitter smile. Someone like me doesn't deserve to be happy. She wiped her mouth. I'm full and kinda tired. I need some rest. Olivia, cheer up. Mona stopped Olivia as she said gently, although I don't know what happened between you and Mr. Miller. You can tell me anything if you need someone to talk to. I can help you out. Olivia remained smiling upon hearing that. Thank you, but even I can't help myself. No one's able to help me. Tell him that I'll give birth to the babies. It's not for him but for the babies' sake. Babies, babies, babies. Don't you think about yourself for once? Don't you have other things to look forward to aside from them? I live for my babies and my father. Don't you love Mr. Miller? He loves you so much. Love, that word appeared to be something only in the past to Olivia now. I loved him, but now, I don't dare to love him. It's painful. She trudged to her bedroom, looking like the most pitiful person in the world. Mona parted her lips, but nothing escaped through her lips. Someone as simple-minded as her didn't understand love. Chapter 478. Although Olivia managed to keep her babies, Ethan stripped her of the last ray of hope in her life. Now that he knew that he was the father, he wouldn't let her go that easily in the future. However, she was sick of this game. As if she was trapped in a big net, there was nowhere to escape. She neither knew how to take revenge nor saw hope. She couldn't do anything during her pregnancy. The only thing she could do was stroke her belly again and again, praying that it would be a smooth delivery. Olivia's low spirits didn't go unnoticed by Jeff. He could already wander around at home because his legs got better. He didn't need others to support him. It was the early summer, and the temperature was rising. Lying down under a tree, Olivia was getting sleepy and fell asleep. When she woke up, there was a blanket over her. Jeff was waving a fan to shoo the mosquitoes away as he always did when she was a child. Her mother passed away when she was younger, but he gave her all the love she needed. Her childhood wasn't a sad one due to the absence of maternal love. On the contrary, she grew up into a confident and capable person under Jeff's love. At that time, her eyes spoke of determination, and she gave a warm yet confident aura to others. He had long noticed something after he regained consciousness. It was rare to see her smile. She wouldn't bring up Ethan in front of Jeff, either. She would put on a gentle smile sometimes, but not anymore. Aside from eating and sleeping, she was mostly absent-minded. Even though she had been forcing smiles so that he wouldn't notice, Jeff could see through her. After all, she was the daughter he raised for years. Ethan was the cause of her personality change. Jeff didn't know what Ethan had done. The couple's relationship was getting worse after Ethan took her back home. He was aware of everything, and it pained him to see her acting this way. Thus, he spent most of his time keeping her company. Olivia was baffled to see him waving a fan gently as soon as she woke up. "Dad, you're awake. Are you thirsty? Tea time is ready." Her cheeks turned red. "I'm not a kid, Dad." He chuckled and stroked her hair. "To me, you will always be a kid. I got your back. I know. Olivia, I know that you're not having a happy life right now. Let's leave this place." She was taken aback by that. "Is this place bad?" "It's not bad, but you're unhappy. It's been a long time since I saw a genuine smile on your face. I don't know what's going on between you and Ethan. But if he's the cause for it, I will get you out of here." He caressed her hair gently. "I'm broke and can't provide you the best like before. But I can get a job and earn a living to feed you. Do you still remember what I said? Happiness comes before anything. The others come after that. I wish to see my daughter's happy face, not watching her living days gloomily. I've been through the same thing before. If something's wrong in a relationship, you need time to overcome it. You're still young, and there's a long life ahead of you. Give yourself and Ethan some space." Biting her lip, she shook her head lightly. "We can't leave for now, Dad. We can't go anywhere." He remained firm with his stance. "Why not? Do you think that I can't feed you because I'm old? It's not because of you." She looked at her belly while stroking it. "I'm pregnant, Dad." Chapter 479. Jeff was in disbelief, which turned into shock and, subsequently, joy. Really? Jeff became visibly more relaxed. He had thought the relationship between Olivia and Ethan was irreparable. It seemed like he had been overthinking. The two of them were having a child, and it was a good thing. "Why would I lie to you? I'm a little over a month pregnant, with twins, too." Jeff said excitedly, "Great. That's wonderful." Olivia had already lost a child when he was hospitalized from the traffic accident. Even though Olivia would always wear a smile when she visited him, she grew more frail as days went by. It was only natural that Jeff was concerned. He could relax a bit now that she was pregnant with Ethan's babies, and they had been together for a long time. "What has been going on between you and Ethan? Why is he visiting less now that you're pregnant?" Olivia resisted the urge to tell him the truth. After all, the Fordham family was bankrupt, and Jeff was still recovering. Nothing good would come out of her telling Jeff the truth. It would only make him hate Ethan. He has a unique identity and has recently encountered some trouble. He's concerned for our safety, so he sent us here to be protected by professionals. Besides, I'm not even past my first trimester, so it's better to be cautious. Olivia's explanation cleared up Jeff's worries. No wonder he's been calling me every day but never meeting up. "Olivia, you have to tell me how you feel about Ethan." Olivia put a hand on her stomach and lied, "Even though we have had our disagreements, he's still the father of my babies." "That's true. You're both still young and are bound to argue from time to time. Don't overthink things. Just focus on keeping your babies healthy. You have to keep them safe this time. Everything will be better when they are born. The kids will serve as the bond that keeps you together. You'll be a family as long as there are kids. You'll look back in a few years and laugh at how naive you were." Olivia murmured, "The kids will serve as a bond." That's right, many young people these days don't cherish what they have. They get divorced too easily. The kids would end up being the innocent victims of the relationship. Will things even get better in the next marriage? New problems will still arise. Olivia raised her head to look at Jeff's gentle eyes. "Dad, what if the marriage is already unsalvageable? What if there was domestic violence, cheating, and compulsive gambling? Do we still have to tough it out for the rest of our lives?" "That's not what I meant. I was talking about problems that can be overcome. The two people have to be willing to change for each other, to become better, and work on marriage together. If it were the scenarios that you mentioned, the problem would be unsolvable. The marriage would be a bondage between an aggressor and a victim. I would rather see the marriage end if that was the case." Jeff looked at Olivia with a gentle but firm gaze. "Olivia, I'm not trying to force you to make a choice. I just want you to know which choices are the ones that you will not regret. You still have a long life ahead of you. You will need to live for yourself. Dad, what about your relationship with Mom? Have you ever blamed her for leaving?" Olivia had too many questions surrounding her parents' relationship. Jeff's expression remained gentle. His voice didn't change at the mention of Chloe. "I don't blame her. Love has always been a multiple-choice question. Why would I blame her? I just wasn't her choice. Love is about tolerance, understanding, and not hurting. Even if I couldn't have her, I'm willing to let her be with the man that makes her happiest." Jeff and Ethan were like polar opposites when it came to love. Olivia couldn't help but ask, "What did you get out of it?" Chapter 480. Jeff fanned himself and raised his head to look at the sky. "Let me ask you a question. What would I get if I forced her to stay?" Olivia fell silent. Jeff added, "All I would get is resentment. She wouldn't yell at me for it, but she'd ignore me and hate me for the rest of her life. She'd lament the unfairness of the world. Her eyes would become lifeless, and her lips would never smile. Even if I had her with me in person, I'd never have her heart. The relationship would look fine on the surface but would actually be in ruins. That would have resulted in you having to walk on eggshells during your childhood. I'll never forget how you tried so hard to make her like you. You were still so young. Kids your age had no worries, but you were trying your best to win her favor. And despite your efforts, she still didn't warm up to you. Sooner or later, you would have become like her if we had remained a family torn by such internal conflicts. A peacock is only beautiful because it has enough space to roam freely. It wouldn't even display its feathers if it was stuck in a cage unhappily. Its beauty would be concealed. I let her go so that there wouldn't be hate, even if there was no love. She'd get the happiness and freedom she wanted, and I'd be satisfied spiritually. The only regret was that you lost your mother. The truth is, Nothing is guaranteed to work out in this world. Sometimes, you won't get anything in return even if you worked hard. It all boils down to how we make our choices. Olivia understood how Jeff felt. It was similar to what she was going through with Ethan. You must love Mom a lot, right, Dad? Of course, I do. I fell hopelessly in love the first time I met her. Your mother was elegant and dignified. She was perfect in every way. The sad thing was that she never loved me. She married me due to circumstances, and I tried my best to love her during our years together. I was never able to change her mind, though. So, I set her free. Knowing she got the happiness she sought, I feel my hard work didn't go to waste. Olivia asked, you never remarried after Mom left. Is it because you never met anyone else you liked? Olivia saw that Jeff's expression changed when she brought that up. His face lost its glow immediately. Jeff looked at Olivia with a sigh. He decided to tell her the truth. There's something I've been meaning to tell you. You were still too young then. I wanted to wait a couple of years before telling you. Then, all those things happened. Jeff shook his head and continued, it's already come to this. I think you deserve to know the truth. There was a woman I liked a few years back. She was slightly older than you. She was pretty, lively, and her eyes always glowed. She was a student whose education I funded. It's such a pity. Jeff's expression became worse as he said, I had thought she was just a kid when she first confessed her feelings to me. What would people think if an old man like me got together with a young woman like her? Olivia knew that Jeff was talking about Jody. She didn't expect Jeff to be the one to bring it up. She asked, what happened next? It's not like I didn't plan on getting married again. But you know how serious I am regarding marriage and relationships. I'd never settle with someone I didn't have feelings for. So, I didn't pay her any mind. She was smart and excelled in her studies like you. She skipped grades multiple times and started working at a young age. She tried her best to appear more mature in front of me. She was frustrated that I treated her like a child. Did you like her, Dad? Jeff looked at the clouds, starting to space out. I guess I had feelings for her. She had the liveliness and youthfulness of a young woman. Initially, I took care of her because I felt bad for her. Then, we began to get in touch more. I felt happy when I was with her. I felt younger. So, I started to take her feelings more seriously. Jeff turned to look at Olivia's face. I fell in love with your mother when I was still a boy. I could love unreservedly. At my current age, I had to think twice before acting. I was afraid that you wouldn't like it. Also, I was worried about what people might say about us. My hesitance ended up becoming the reason she left. She was already pregnant when I found her again. Olivia's eyes widened in surprise. Her baby wasn't yours.